Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? It is a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. A little cold. Scott and I got up super early this morning and decided to take the dogs for a walk first thing in the morning. Went pretty well. It was like 6 o'clock. Olive only twice, no, was it 3 times? She bathes at squirrels. That was interesting, trying not to wake the neighbors up.
Yes, that was very interesting after waking. Yes,
But she
we're
did
talking about you, big black dog.
she did pretty good.
Very good.
Hi, Barb. Hi, Jornat. How are you guys doing? The past 4 days? Yeah, today's day 4 of getting restarted back on strict carnivore has been smooth, honestly. Xan, hi, Tracy. It's been quite smooth. Hi, Kat. And I'm actually doing really well, I feel like.
Yeah, well, we're not like totally on top of the hard 75, but we've been doing a lot better about eating carnivore,
We're doing
working
a
out.
floppy 75.
It just sounded really long.
Candace.
A floppy 75.
Jorna, I'm fine. 1 year on carnivore. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Proud. That's amazing. I've lost 7 pounds,
No, 8.
8 pounds
8
in
and
4
something.
days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been fluid, but I've lost 8 pounds in 4 days. Scott and I have had a bet of, he said
I
10.
said 10 in 4 days. So I missed my bet.
I said 10 and 7, didn't I?
Something like that.
Something like that.
So,
All the fluid.
yeah.
Anytime I eat, hi, Jess. Hi, Tia. Anytime Betsy and Mary, anytime I eat anything that is off carnivore, I retain fluid like nobody's business. But I feel a lot better. I feel
Yeah.
a lot better. Last night we tried for the first time making
So
short ribs. We make flanken ribs, which are just a perpendicular. They're just a different cut of short ribs. But I've never made short ribs. So we made them last night in the Dutch oven. They were
very good.
phenomenal.
Melt in your mouth. Didn't have to chew. Like the kind of stuff that, like, when I'm geriatric and 90 and I don't have teeth anymore, I can just still be carnivore.
Yeah. Barb, how far off did this little hiccup take you? With all the fluid, about 20 pounds. No joke. I've probably in the next few days, I'll lose the other half. And then I probably gained a couple pounds of fat, but most of it's been fluid.
Probably about 3 weeks round trip.
What do you mean?
Like, what you gain and then lose it all again.
Oh, yeah, it'll take close to 3 weeks.
Yeah. But that's 5-6 days of bad eating.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks to get that all off. So
Yeah.
that's what I love about carnivore is that you can't go off for a while. You just go right back to it and you still get the results.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lifestyle.
The good thing is it didn't last. It took me, was it 2 weeks to get out of bed for Rosie?
2 weeks you got to
Granted,
bed, and then
she was my soul dog, and that happened very abruptly.
yeah.
Like
There's 2 weeks that she got out of bed, and another 2 weeks to even start remotely eating right.
Mhm.
It was very rough.
And this is only about 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm doing much better. And Scott and I talk about Ryu frequently, but I'm just coming to honestly I feel much better about the decision we made because just hearing her pant all the time. If you guys watch any more recent videos, you probably hear her panting sometimes in the background when I've been recording because she just was in so much pain and we maxed out her pain medicine we could give her. MD, hello. By the way, I like those glasses that you have on. Trying to get back on track. Have been feeling miserably, getting super anxious. It does make us really anxious and stressed, doesn't it? When we fall off and then we're just trying so hard to get back on. I don't have the book, but if you haven't, grab Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. That has helped more than anything. I'm actually in the process of, I've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks left of doing my Tiny Habits coaching certification with BJ Fogg. I've actually spoken with him a handful of times. Super nice guy, by the way. And what Scott and I are working on right now is we're going to do monthly group coaching to make it cheaper, but also have some accountability within the group of each other of teaching tiny habits for those that are struggling with staying on track. Something that I realized this week more than anything, why I have had progress and not had progress is consistency. That is it. It's not perfection, it's consistency, and it's how do I say this? It's just minimizing the downs that we have, even if it's not perfect, trying to get more steady state, and that's what the group coaching will be about. With that'll probably be in about a month. We'll start doing that.
A month.
Yeah.
MD, believe in yourself. You can do this. Okay.
Yes.
It really is totally easy to do once you realize what's going on. Okay.
Jorna lost 11 kilograms. Congrats.
Congratulations.
One of my friends, I actually knew her before going to the PT school stuff. She has been doing it and she didn't really have much to lose, but I talked to her yesterday and she said she'd lost 9 pounds in 11 days so far. So, and she has more autoimmune stuff too. So I'm super happy for her too. Candace finally had my cataract surgery Thursday, and it is so wonderful to be able to see. I actually drove the other night with no problem. That is amazing
Fantastic.
because
Good job.
cataracts are more like things become foggy, right? And you just have a hard time seeing. That probably feels amazing. Feels amazing. Morning, Pula. Olive, the table's shaking because Olive keeps hitting the table.
But concentrating on coffee. Don't spill. Don't spill. Don't spill. Because we just got fresh cups.
Uh, Hi, grateful.
Good morning.
Yeah, totally made the right decision. Yeah. I struggled with it for the first 2 days and then just literally, uh, just the small things that Scott was telling me this morning that last night he went to go shut the blinds in our reading room, and normally oh, no, it was put my phone on the charger. Because that's actually a tiny habits thing I developed is so I don't look at my phone, I don't look at emails, I don't look at, social media in the morning or at night before I go to bed. My phone actually goes in the other room. He was putting it up, and
Usually when I'm doing that, I'm having to be very careful. Like, where's Ryu? I don't want to bump her or alarm her in any way. Because if she gets alarmed, she'll like, what's going on? And then
jerk her neck.
her neck and she yelps, and then all the other dogs get excited. And I just, just those habits, it just got so used to.
Yeah. So it's been I hate to say I'm gonna miss her, but it's been nice. And honestly, I every single day it's just coming more and more to realize how much mental and emotional stress I've been under for the past 2 years.
2 years since she got her neck hurt.
2 years with her because my dogs are like my kids. Hi, Peggy. Welcome. My dogs are like my kids, and so the amount of stress that I would feel not being able to help her or see her hurting, God, that was difficult. And the big thing I'm realizing is how much that translated into just this. I told Scott, so before I started carnivore, if this is like peak stress, I'm going to eat cake. I was like living here all the time. The smallest things would make me hit that stress level. And then doing carnivore, my stress level dropped quite low and I was doing really good. And then with the stuff with Ryu, I didn't realize it was creeping back up, not as high as it was before, but then I noticed I wasn't dealing with stress as well because I was already just at this underlevel current of stress bothering me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now that she's gone, I've noticed that my level of stress is very low now. Like it's so much lower that I just
going out worrying about dogs going to the bathroom in the backyard.
yeah.
There's just so much less.
Yeah.
And there's so much less worry about them stepping in, and we have to clean the whole house because they stepped in it.
Oh, are you talking about dog poo?
Yeah.
They didn't want to know that. Our conundrum with having
It just took it out. Those are one of the things like that we just always constantly had to worry about with 4 dogs. And
because Ryu was
because Rita would
see
poop in
well.
a string or a circle.
Okay, we really do not need to tell about our
So there's a little there's come on. I'm gonna show it now.
Candace, all I could see out of my right eye was a large white area, sight 21/25. Wow, in that eye. One day surgery 20/30, once healed 20/20. That you probably
That's
feel amazing
fantastic.
and feel like you've gotten a big part of your life back from that.
Mm.
I can't imagine. Honestly, when I don't wear glasses, I can't see very well. You do not want me driving a car without glasses. Sitting in the driver's seat, I can't even like the license plate in the car in front of me is too blurry to read. Uh, I know it's slightly different, but I can tell, not having them versus having them night and day. My Jazzero Zero. I'm sorry, y'all, if I pronounce things incorrectly. Have you heard of anyone in pre-menopause that has lost weight while on carnivore? I've been on it since January 1st. No weight loss, but I do feel better. Yes. Scott and I have been talking about this, and we're actually going to, with the group coaching, this is down the road, add a support leg to it. But anyways, the one thing I always suggest, and I do this for myself, and I know exactly why I haven't gone anywhere, is have you been tracking what you've been eating? I don't mean to make this like a permanent life change, but at least for 2 to 4 weeks, track what you're eating, because calories, they're not the best metric, but the amount of energy, food is energy. Fat we have on our body is excess consumed energy. It is not a one-to-one. If you burn 1 calorie, you lose. And that's not what I'm saying, but at least gives you a overarching idea of how much energy you're consuming versus just guessing at it. And I have found that right now I'm eating about 1,500 calories to 1,800 a day, and I'm extremely happy with that. Yesterday Scott got this fancy cheese, and I looked up it for 1 ounce. It has a lot of energy in it. Like I know cheese does, but this one has extra. So things like that can have a really big impact if you're not losing weight. I also want to mention there are a lot of people who say that they don't eat a lot, like someone's like, I eat 800 calories and I don't lose weight. There is a point in time when you eat so little that your body is so lethargic, you may not even realize it. You just stop moving. You just sit and become pretty much a lump on a log because you don't feel good. So I'm not suggesting eating the minimal amount possible. It's about finding what works perfectly for you for your energy expenditure. And it also, by documenting it and tracking it, it teaches you, okay, about this much food. Or am I eating emotionally, or am I eating just to feel full versus actually what we need in our body? So that is where I would say spend the next 4 weeks tracking it and go from there. Barb said TMI, Scott. Yes,
Yes.
Scott, TMI. They did not need to know that.
I also want to share my friend Eric. He's been doing carnivore for about 8 months, and he has some off meals here and there, some carbs, but mostly like he just feels so much better. He hasn't lost any weight, but he's like, I feel just remarkably better being on carnivore. And that's he, tries to go for walks and he goes as much as he can, and just that whole mental shift of being on carnivore is worth a lot of change. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I think, something to truly consider is when, if we're eating carnivore, even if we're not losing weight. Now, it depends. If you have a lot of weight to lose, then, and you're not, there is something going on. Sometimes it can be like a physiological mechanism, thyroid, all that. But
Right.
personally, I think that's more of, I shouldn't say a rare case, but less often than we're just eating too much, especially if you're doing dairy. Dairy is very, very easy to get too much energy
Lots of
consumed.
calories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A tablespoon of heavy cream, which was I put in my coffee, is 100 calories. I don't know, something like that.
Something like that. But I mean, your breakfast and 2 cups of coffee is like almost 500 calories.
437, I think.
Yeah.
No matter. No matter. Where were we? My brain just lost it. What was I saying?
I don't. Good point is.
Kat made 2 crazy keto bacon jerky yesterday. That actually sounds delicious. Bacon jerky, yum. Yum, 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 yum. Peggy, so can I ask here about body acidity? My meat makes the body acidic. Is that supposed to be, that is supposed to not be good. That is how do I say this? That is a misnomer. Our bodies have a very, very narrow pH range they have to be in, or we die. There is no more acidic, less acidic when we're talking. Now, in the stomach, that's a different story, but we're talking about everything outside the stomach. We have a very, very, very narrow range to the point where if it changes, I believe it's like 0.02, we die. Like it's something close to that. It's very, very, it's like 100th of a change in our pH, we die. It's very, it's the biggest, I shouldn't say biggest. It isn't true. Our body adapts to what we eat. Now, our stomach can become more acidic, and we actually want it acidic. It's what helps break fat and proteins down. When we eat a lot of carbs and lettuce and vegetables, those are more basic foods. Our stomach pH actually goes up higher, which is more basic, less acidic. We don't need as much. And that is why, for any of you starting carnivore, if you've been eating a very carb diet and then you start eating more fat and protein, you'll have some indigestion maybe you didn't have before. It is your body needing to adapt to increase the pH. I'm sorry, decrease, because we're making more acidic.
Right.
Decrease the pH in your stomach to adapt, as well as make more bile salts in from your gallbladder. Okay. Well, your gallbladder technically stores it, but make more bile salts to break it down in your intestines and things like that. That's also why in the beginning sometimes you'll have diarrhea and things like that, is because the fat isn't getting processed well because your body has not quite adapted to making more bile salts. But as you continue, it gets better. Um, I think a lot of people who say that meat makes it acidic tend to be vegans and vegetarians, but just literally look up the body's pH, and it is a tiny range that we live in. And I mean, if it was changed by point 0.1, I believe, humans on the earth would not exist. Our bodies are fantastic, amazing things that adapt wildly well to different things. We just have to give them time.
Mhm.
Anything to add to that?
No, but that just made me think of my joke with Olive this morning and vegans.
Mhm. Oh, so yesterday, a piece of spinach, because I had a little spinach salad yesterday, y'all. Every once in a blue moon, I'd like to have a little bit of veggies, and so either asparagus or spinach every once in a while, because it's my treat. I find that I do well. It's my ice cream, but it's green. Anyways, piece of spinach fell on the ground yesterday, and Olive gobbled it up. I've never owned a dog that would eat lettuce,
Never.
so I joked to Scott that if a vegan saw that, they would say Olive wanted to be a vegan. So this morning when we were on the walk, she snagged a piece of grass and was eating it, and I said she definitely was a vegan. And then Scott asked if she ate vegans.
I said, does that mean you're going to eat vegans for me? Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Barry says food does not change our acidity. The only thing it does is change what's in our stomach.
Yeah, we're talking about you.
Coming home after surgery, I was wearing the 3D glasses you wear at the movies. I thought maybe they changed them. It's been a while. I thought they did like the big bulky dark ones, but maybe that's
Depends on what it is.
Ingrid. Keto carnivore 6 months. Can a high reading of HSCRP make losing weight harder? So the HSCRP is a high sensitivity. It usually is done for cardiac tests. When you do just a plain old CRP, that tends to be for autoimmune and inflammation. It can, but I'd be curious, Ingrid, if you know what your HSCRP actually was. On that note, my CRP has come down to normal, by the way. I got it off.
Oh, you got back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I only got half of my autoimmune stuff done. I'm going to go this week because I finally healed from the ginormous bruise that they tried last time to get the rest of it done. But I looked at the blood work and mine was 5, which is now within normal limits. It's still high for the high sensitivity one, but for autoimmune, that's good. Uh, Anywho, yes, it can because it can also raise your cortisol levels. The best thing to do is honestly ask for a plain old CRP and just go from there. Barb, how do you handle change without allowing the stress to cause you to use food for comfort? I hate change. I'm looking for advice on how to deal with the problem throwing me off track. I would say, and for those of you that don't like him, that's okay. The book is still really good. Set it aside. Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. That helped more than anything. Realizing that I used to hate change all the time. Like, I used to rail against it mentally, emotionally. I would get upset, and that was like my attempt to control it, even though it didn't work. And I finally realized that the only control I have is my reactions to the external environment. I mean, obviously the environment in our house, but I just mean the world in general and what happens is I can only control what's over here. I can't control what's over here. I can only control what's
She girls this all the time.
I can only control my reactions to what gets put in front of me. So
Frick live stabbing my husband.
this is how our life goes every day. Oh, anywho, so 12 Rules by Jordan Peterson is a really good place to start. Also, Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. The reason I mention that is that helps us understand that life is not all or nothing, and small incremental changes is how we make permanent changes. Whether it's, and he doesn't even really make the book about diet, but just any kind of changes. If you want to be more consistent, if you want to be happier, if you want to stop leaving your, clothes strung across the house and it's making you depressed, all of those kinds of things. So those are the 2 books I would suggest. Start with 12 Rules. It is, when I say it's a hard read, it requires a lot of willingness to introspect and look at yourself.
Retrospect, take your time. The audiobook is not going to be worth your time. You want to take some time to read it and maybe reread that paragraph because like I did not get that the first time. And
Sometimes I had to reread the same page 3 times to really get the
yeah,
meaning of it
then the other part is that it really helps you think. You reread it again, and like I just read the introduction
for the
like
third time.
for the third time the other day, and it really helped me understand that choice is a very powerful thing.
Mm,
And there's something on our Discord, and we mentioned it 2 weeks ago about like there's this analogy of Cain and Abel
that
and how they dealt with God, and kind of not trying to preach Cain and Abel, but it's just like an analysis of how people act and behave. And you'll see a lot of that in the 12 rules, but those things kind of help you realize that a lot of it's choice. And if you're confident with your choices, it gives you a lot more peace. And not only that, for me, this is like on a spiritual level, I choose to have faith in God. There's no evidence for God. If you really sit back and look at it, there's no evidence for God. I
there's no
choose to have,
empirical, like
yeah,
science based.
there's no science for that. I choose to. So this is one of the things I kind of want to talk about this. I'm sorry. I think this
Go
is,
ahead.
okay. One of the things that I've been struggling with for years was the 2008 crisis, financial crisis. Nobody went to jail. And so for the longest time, for 15 years now, I've just been pissed at God. And that has been my, like, God, where's your justice? I thought you were just. I thought you were faithful and all this other kind of stuff. And so I was actually just angry about life in the world. And I'm like, just burn it down. It's all not just. Where's my stomach? Sorry. Anyways, looking at the thing about Cain and Abel on our Discord, that I'm reading through that I was bargaining with God. I will do this and this and this. I'll work hard and I'll, be a good neighbor and all these other things when I see justice, right? People go to jail for, robbing the American people blind. And that's not how it works. I choose to have faith in God. I choose to believe that there is going to be justice, and I may never ever see it. I might die long before there's some justice that I perceive should happen. But I choose that. So when you're talking about like how to deal with change, how to deal with the uncertainties of the future, that is just choosing to have faith because faith is believing in something you don't see. So being at peace with that, that's a spiritual thing, I think.
Yeah. Also, I think around the change too is things will always change. No matter what we do, they will change for the good, the better, for, just to change. And railing against that, being upset and getting, because I was there, upset
Mhm.
about that,
Yeah.
it's like, how do I explain it? It's going to happen. It's just a waste of time, energy, and effort and emotional, like,
Mhm.
because it's going to happen. It's gonna happen. I mean, that's what life
It is.
continuously moves forward. And I used to rail so hard against it, and I would be angry, and then I would eat my emotions, and it's like I was cutting my nose off to spite my face.
Right. And I think that's just a belief in your future kind of thing.
Mhm. But try those 2 books, Barb. I think you're
Sorry, that was a very long answer.
okay. Pula, how has the carb withdrawal been? It has been
Not bad.
not bad. Yesterday and the day before, so day 3, 2, and 3, I was very lethargic, like very.
Still worked out though.
I told Scott I didn't want to walk the dogs or work out. We walked the dogs and worked out. I'm glad we did. Um, the one thing that I always know is the pain. The pain comes rushing back, and the worst part is in my feet. If I have one off meal, like pretty much if I have sugar carbs, my feet feel like someone has them in a vice. Today it was a little bit, but about a weekend it stops.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Yep.
it's been quite good. It's not my first rodeo doing this. And just drinking water, eating, and I mentioned early too, for those who have not, beef short ribs, they are super good in the Dutch oven. 275 for 4 hours.
Oh, so good.
They literally melt. So, so good.
They're so soft.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever made them, and we're going to again.
If we can find them on bargain.
Actually, even full price, they're cheaper than ribeye now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We even got the fancy one from Whole Foods because that's where we were at looking for pork rinds, the 4505 pork rinds.
We're hungry shopping up there.
We were hungry shopping, getting more than what I needed for pork rinds, and and we got 2 cheeses. We got a fancy aged Gouda.
Uh-huh.
Usually my hungry shopping is that we end up buying cheese and stuff. We don't need more. Good morning. Oh, Barb said earlier, she's like, "You're letting your, inner anarchist."
Uh-huh. Mhm.
The only time there is justice is when your mom and dad try to make it that way. That's not the real world. Instead, ask what you could learn from this injustice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly.
Mhm. Hi, Cassie. Tips for avoiding carnivore flu, if at all possible. I know electrolytes, but anything else? Make sure you have enough water. You already got the electrolytes.
Water.
I would suggest 2 packages a day in the beginning. Make sure you are eating enough fat, and you just choose fatty cuts of meat. I have to tell y'all, I have stopped adding butter to my meat. I have found that when I actually look at the nutritional facts of things like short ribs and chuck roast, I don't need butter added to it. And this is part like I spent 5 or 6 months adding butter to everything. My weight loss went and stopped. I did not need all that energy. I got lots of energy on the Bank of Amanda right now. I do not need to be adding to it. But fatty cuts of meat, make sure you're eating enough. What else?
Have snacks so that if you need to, you have a little bit of a low, you can have a snack of bacon or butter bites or something.
Another idea is if, let's say you work a job that you just really can't go through the hard withdrawals, you can taper into it. So you could use some vegetables and stuff to taper down into it versus going from a lot of carbs to none, because that's the crash is a lot of carbs to almost none. There's where the crash happens, and you could break it over a few weeks if you really want to completely avoid it. Uh, One of the things that we have learned, do the right thing even when you don't feel like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Candace never made short ribs before and have wanted to do it. I hadn't
Yeah.
either.
Really.
As I said, the flank and ribs are the same meat part, but it's just cut perpendicular to the short ribs. That we're 100% adding that into the rotation. It's a little expensive to do every week, but at least 2 to 3 times a month.
Very, very good. And flanker ribs are just real easy to cook too.
They're delicious too.
Flanker ribs are like a 10-minute meal. I love it.
From literally getting them out, drying them, putting a little fat and seasoning them and grilling them. It's about 10 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Overall.
I purchased a cart full of frozen corned beef. Do you have any tips for soaking all those spices out of it to tone down the flavor? I like corned beef,
Like,
so I would not know. I would not be the person because I would be gobbling that corned beef up with the flavor. I probably would do a little cheat and add some sauerkraut and is it Swiss? I think it's Swiss that goes on because Reubens are my favorite. So I'd add a little sauerkraut and some cheese to that, and I'd gobble that up. Oops. We are waiting on pork rind order to arrive. Did you get the 4505? I'm curious. If
is
you
it lime jalapeno or lime?
No, it's chili lime.
Chili lime. Okay.
The chili lime 4505 is the brand. Pork rinds are downright the absolute best. I've tried all kinds of pork rinds, and most, like 99% of the flavored ones have MSG. The 4505, at least chili lime, do not.
Do not.
They are
Really
light,
good.
fluffy, not greasy like the Bakeys or Bake Lays, whatever the Lay's brand is of it.
Crush them up, put them onto a topping, whatever you want. The chicken cordon bleu casserole that we use those. It's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we use them on?
Use what? I wasn't listening.
The grind up the pork rinds for.
Oh, yeah, because
People use that kind of
you can
breading
use it
for
to make
Salisbury steaks.
chicken fried chicken. You can make it chicken fried chicken with
Not
it.
chicken for chicken.
Salisbury steak. Well, no, it's more like chicken fried steak. You'd use it. We haven't
Okay.
made that, but you could easily do that.
Yeah.
You could use it for anything you wanted to bread.
Mm-hmm.
Cassie, oh no, I add butter. Kerrygold is pricey, so that's a win-win. Okay, so ketovore first. Yeah, I went straight carnivore. That crashes really. If you want to avoid it, just do ketovore. I'd probably start ketovore, carnivore if that's where you want to end up. You could argue right now I oscillate between carnivore and ketovore at times. I mean, I have coffee, so you could argue that I do ketovore anyways. But
Which is dirty carnivore.
95% of what I eat is meat. when my dog doesn't pass away. I should not have said that. Whoa.
Oh,
Sometimes my mouth filter. Adele, I love that name. Good morning. Love listening to both. Have been waiting to try short ribs. Now try them in my Dutch oven. Do it. Okay.
oh,
Do not add, because I looked up all different recipes. I am incapable of following one recipe. I read many and then change it to Amanda's way. I just put tallow because we keep ours in the refrigerator.
mhm,
We keep ours in the refrigerator. So I just put the Dutch oven on the stove, warmed it up, and plopped probably a good tablespoon in there
mhm.
of tallow.
And just
And then I
rubbed around the
warmed
meat.
it, and then I tossed the meat, and then I seasoned it and lid and in the oven. You could do avocado oil if you're fine with that. Do not do olive oil. Well, you could do olive oil, but I would say avocado oil is better. No matter.
Yeah.
275, 4 hours, done. 275, 4 hours. Some ovens might be like 3, but we did
No,
4, and it was
275. It was good. It's delicious.
perfect.
Kind of stuff you should, just mouth.
Scott was actually this morning. He's like, "Oh, that was so good,"
Oh, so good.
because I gave him half. He gave me most of it, and then I gave him the other half back. So we had half and half
Oh,
last night.
half and half.
Oh, keto in the mists. That's cute. Rinse the corned beef in water, then soak in plain water. Helps cut the seasonings down by half. There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
They are selling pork rind crumbles in the food line near me. There was a brand I found on Amazon that some stores carry. Pork panko, I think is what they called, which is literally just pork rind crushed up. Tanita, I like porking good pork rinds. Just got a shipment of 8 bags of white cheddar. Ooh, porking good pork rinds.
Pork.
I will have to look that up because I don't think I've had those before. And if you want to ask your Costco to carry something for you, you go to Google and put Costco feedback. Click that and it'll work you through it. You can click the little drop down that says food product and put it in there. I'm going to start doing it 5 times a day because I want them to bring back my 4505s. I've done it 3 times and it
They
hasn't
had
worked
2
yet.
pallets. It got gone through really fast and bring them back. I know.
We did buy 15 bags last year. I would buy 20 this time. I wish I could get pork rinds. I find it very hard to find carnivore snacks here. Tracy, you're in New Zealand, right? Am I remembering correctly? Are you familiar with Epic pork rinds? I have had Epic. They were probably my number 2. I still like the 4505 better, but I do like the Epic as an alternative. I think Whole Foods had some Epic ones too. But none of our regular grocery stores, they have like the Lay's brand
No, they got nothing.
and they have another brand, but they all have MSG and they're
Terrible.
like the hard, they break your teeth ones. I hate it. Chili and lime, cracklins from oink pork rinds plus a variety pack. Okay, I'll have to look it up. Most pork rinds, did you guys know, are actually just cooked in their own fat, which is weird. Could you use bacon fat for the short ribs? Absolutely. I just chose because they're beef to do beef with beef. But you can do whatever because it's at such a low temperature, it doesn't matter. It only matters when you cook things at a high temperature. Like if you're going to sear things, not using butter, unless you're using ghee, which is clarified butter, avocado oil, tallow, ghee are the 3 that you want to cook at high temperatures because it's like 500 degrees plus or minus like 15 degrees. Smoke points. And if it's smoking, if your stuff is smoking, it means it's burning. No good. Do you have a preferred way to prepare tri-tip roast? I haven't done it in a very long time. We have tri-tip we need to do pressure cooking. That's how my mom and I would always make it was pressure
I'm
cooking.
thinking we should try a Dutch oven just like we did the ribs.
We're going to this week. We'll pull some out and we'll try the tri-tip in the Dutch oven and cook it slow and let you know how that goes.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hey, I only did keto for a week before I got impatient to feel better and jumped the rest of the way into carnivore. Yeah, I did cake literally one day, carnivore the next, and if I eat bad, that's always how I go back to it. But I'm wide-eyed and aware of what's happening. But again, if you need to avoid that or you're just afraid of the withdrawals, tapering down is completely fine too. Hello from Scotland, where England came from. Has anyone seen a cave picture of a salad? Netherlands. Okay, I knew it was. I imagine shipping like out of the country, even if you bought a ton. It would be probably really expensive for importing things. Maybe you could talk to your local grocery store and things like that. That might actually not be a bad idea. To really talk to the manager and just be like, "Hey, listen, there are not a lot of good options for," I wouldn't even mention carnivore, but low carb people, and see if you could convince them to start carrying some products that are. If not, then maybe starting a low carb pork rind. The dogs went crazy. Uh, business in your area might be.
I'll be with it.
There's got to be a different option than pork rinds. Don't like them. So normally, Peggy, I would agree with you. However, if you get the chance to try the 4505 chili lime, I think you'll change your mind. I normally didn't care for pork rinds that much until we found the 4505. The Epic are still really good too, but the 4505, they're like bigger and fluffier. I don't know.
Yeah. The other thing, if you can afford it, you have carnivore crisps.
Yeah.
So they're thickened chicken
Breast.
breast. Yeah, chicken breast.
Well, they have pork, chicken, beef. They have
Yeah,
all.
they've got all kinds of, but the chicken breast, they taste like a tortilla chip.
They do. They
They
do.
get the texture, they've got flavor that kind of goes with whatever dip you have.
Well, I think the chicken breast by themselves don't have tons of flavor, but does chicken breast really have a lot of flavor? No.
No.
But I like the chicken breast eating with taco meat and stuff because it tastes like a corn chip to me when I'm eating it. So that is an option. There was similar like chicken chips at Costco. However, I don't know what the brand was. They were 10 grams of carbs per serving. They had quite a bit of sugar in them.
Yeah.
So the carnivore crisps
It's just straight chicken.
in salt.
Yeah.
So those are a good option for you. Bacon. Okay, here's two other options, y'all. Bacon chips. You just make your bacon extra crunchy in the. Sorry, you want to go tell that one to stop barking. Bacon chips, you can make them into little squares and make them crunchy. That is good. And then something else, salami chips. You literally just take salami, put it on a pan in the oven for like 350. I want to say 20 minutes, but don't quote me on it. It's been a while since I've made them. Those make crispy chips too. So those another option you can do. Morning, Mama Cat. How clean are the ingredients in chili lime and white cheddar ones? I picked some queso flavored ones. Was shocked at how long the list. The chili lime from 4505 literally have just the seasoning, pork rind, salt. That's it. And the seasoning, I looked up the seasoning. It's like Tejon, or I can't remember what it is. It's just spices. There's no MSG. There's no crap in it, which was super surprising for me. So that's why I like them. They have other flavors. They have a chili flavor I have not been able to find to look at the ingredients. Plain ones are literally just pork, salt, lard. Well, it says cooked in its own fat is what it says, I think. BK. If you get Penny, if you get the pellets, you get fresh and very cost effective. Pellets. I'm not sure what pellets, Penny, if you could clarify, because that's just over my head. I don't slow cook tri-tip. I cook it like kana roast to medium rare. Maybe we'll try that.
Okay.
It's been pressure cooking has been like the number one way that we did it. Any ideas for flank steak? Flank steak's so good. I would just do a hot sear to medium rare personally on the grill. Season it however you want. I would personally probably
Depending how thick it
choose
is. If
the
it's
listen to me, the Wasatch seasoning
wow.
from Redmond's because I love that. Or I would do like an adobo seasoning because I have somewhere on one of the recipes I have what spices I put in it because I make my own homemade spices, except the Wasatch, which is from Redmond's, which is my favorite.
500 on the grill. If it's about really thick, maybe a little bit less. We're talking minute and a half on each side. You're done.
Yeah.
If it's a little bit thicker, maybe 2 minutes on each side. Done. That's why I like flanking ribs. They're like
Using a meat thermometer is.
yeah, you don't have to do that. Just time it. We got 500 on the grill.
We have gotten to the point when we eat off plan, the pain from the seed oil hits 5 minutes or less. Seed oils give me instant indigestion. It's like if I feel indigestion, I'm like, oh God, did I not check that up? Look, it's got sunflower oil in it. Imagine that. Kinder or what are those spices from Costco? Kinder or whatever. Don't know, but it's like spices that we bought. Gave them to my brother.
Yeah, it's Kinder.
Gave them to my brother. Gave them to my sister and brother-in-law. Can't have them. Literally seed oils in almost all of them. So this is why most
spices, if you
pre-made
actually go to any
spices.
grocery store, you've got like 5 shelves of spices up and down all over the place. 95% of them got seed of some type. It's a filler. It's terrible.
Yeah. I use crowd cow for my meat. Hard part is they stress lean meat. Suggestions to add fat. What is crowd cow? I'm just curious. But if you need to add fat, especially for beef,
Butter.
tallow, butter, or tallow. Butter would be something you would add afterwards. Tallow would be something that you would toss the meat in, and or if you're like cooking in a crock pot, Dutch oven kind of thing, you would use tallow, which is literally just rendered beef fat. You just pretty much it's the fat off the body. You put it in a crock pot or you put it in a Dutch oven and you melt it down, and then you use cheesecloth to strain out all of the
Solids.
the solids, and boom, you've got tallow, and it keeps for a year on the counter, by the way. Yeah, so that's what I would suggest. Cheese, dairy's very easy to add fat. Those are the things I would suggest. But tallow and butter, number 1 and 2 things we use. Very expensive, but lots of Gouda cheese to be found here. It is the regular daily cheese here.
Oh, okay.
Gouda, we got that aged Gouda. It was $5 for from it was from Whole Paycheck anyways, but
Wasn't it imported too?
yes, it was from Italy. No.
No.
Why do I want to say Belgian? No, it's from I don't know.
Netherlands or Holland or
It was from Holland.
I don't know.
Still looking for beef bacon. Heard it can be found at Walmart. Beef bacon. I wonder
I've never
what would be from beef bacon. Well, I got chicken bacon. It's just beef. That it's going to be the fattiest piece, and how they cut it. I'd be curious to see what part of the meat that they're cutting for beef bacon. But it tastes good. You can make beef bacon chips. Yum. Carno, I'm hoping that it is bratwurst sausage causing me to get inflammation, gout, and not the pork. I love pork. I found that dextrose is the bratwurst. I love sausages. I love bratwurst. However, the problem is a lot of them have a lot of stuff in them, and it has a lot of depending on the brand, a lot of preservatives. Just keep an eye on the time. A lot of preservatives, because here's the thing: when you eat a steak, inside is homogeneous. Nothing has touched it. Only the outside can have bacteria, not the inside. But with sausage and stuff, they grind it up, so there's a lot more surface area for bacteria to grow. And then you're sticking it in an encasing where it's very moist, so they have to use a lot of preservatives.
Curing salts.
Well, sometimes they go beyond that versus just like nitrates from um, depending on the brand. That's why there's a lot of preservatives and a lot of like a Johnsonville and things like that.
Yeah, we don't buy Johnsonville anymore.
No, there's tons of chemicals. So check your bratwursts. And if you made your own, you probably would feel
A lot
better.
of them also have lots of sugar in it too.
They do.
And that's generally to counteract the curing salt.
Yeah. Be curious if you gave up the bratwurst for a good month, but still ate pork to see how you feel. Rudolph Foods has pork rind pellets that you pop cook yourself. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen those before. It's interesting. We go out for a meal and ask for drawn butter and are promised they are all dairy free or all dairy, instant lie detector. Yeah. Eating out, even the steak place we like, the problem is a lot of times on the grill, they'll use seed oil on the grill for all the food. Love short ribs. Still haven't tried flanken ribs. Oh, flanken ribs are so good.
We
Quick,
still have
simple,
flanken ribs
easy.
from almost a year ago where we
In
bought
the freezer.
40 pounds because buy one, get one free. And like,
Why not?
it's vegan country. Nobody was buying it. So we just went crazy.
Yeah. We had some a few days ago. They were good.
Oh, they were so good.
Good. Hot tip though, if you are just starting carnivore, short ribs and flanken ribs can be very, very, very fatty and can give you indigestion. Not the end of the world. It will get better over weeks and a few months, just so you know, because that's something I experienced. Mark, I'm 3 weeks into straight carnivore without any slips into sugar derailments. Yes.
Good job.
The sugar cravings are fading, which is hard to believe they would ever in the first few days. Yes.
Yes.
And So in the beginning, anywhere from 2 to 4, sometimes 6 weeks, you'll have this decreased desire for sugar, and that is a physiological change. There is a psychological for those of us that are emotional eaters that are like, "Hey, I still have sugar cravings." It's now not become a physiological where your body wants sugar for fuel because 'cause you've gone into ketosis or right about there, but then it's dealing with the emotional. So in Mook's case, he has gone through the physiological changes, and hopefully you're not dealing with the emotional, the psychological part of it. But that is always what happens when you do low carb, no sugary kind of stuff.
Cannot recommend enough still, getting Tiny Habits and reading that.
Yes. Yes. I think she meant pork rind pellets from Rudolph Foods that you drop in the air fryer. Okay.
Okay,
Scott and I do not have an air fryer.
not anymore. We did.
We got rid of it. I
We
found
got rid of all
this
kinds of
this is
stuff.
what Scott and I decided. If we lived in an apartment or didn't have a grill, I probably would use an air fryer or an Instapot a lot, but we got rid of our Instapot air fryer combo because we grill everything. But I think if we lived in an apartment, it'd be super or didn't have a grill in a house.
Yeah, it'd be very good.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Hula. If I can click on it. Do you ever use strained tallow for skin cream? I bought some. I don't have it down here from Etsy from a place called Lavender Farms. It is amazing. I actually ordered all of the stuff to try to make it myself. I got some jojoba oil, some vitamin E, and a couple different scents to go into it. And I actually yesterday, was it yesterday? Whatever. When we went to Whole Foods, I asked for 10 pounds
Because we're
because
gonna make some of our own.
they don't charge us here, and I hope they don't for a long time. I asked for 10 pounds of beef fat that I can render down, and I actually did research on how to clarify it so it doesn't smell beefy at all. I'm gonna do that. I might make a video of it. Why are you
It's very
laughing?
important to make sure you clarify it so it doesn't smell beefy. Otherwise, your dogs will probably actually eat you.
Okay, Olive,
Mom, you taste like beef. Oh, you're so
anytime
good.
I'm
Oh,
putting it on my face, Olive's like, I don't. Like she's licking the air because she wants it.
she's like a lizard that she's so funny. Oh, just crazy.
Smoked Gouda, so good.
Yeah.
Barb, try aged, like mature aged Gouda if you haven't. I love smoked Gouda too.
Well,
It's
good aged
phenomenal.
cheddar is also really good. I love the crystallization that happens in aged cheddar. So good. Little crunch.
A special select farmers that are humane and no extras to raised animal are directly from U.S. farmers. Okay, so I see what you're saying. Yes, so butter, tallow, dairy, if you're okay with dairy, are all the best ways to do it. Honestly, we use tallow the most, I think. The tallow the most. But I decided once I render this tallow down and I clarify it, I'm going to start leaving one on the counter because he keeps putting it in the refrigerator and it's like I'm I'm afraid I'm gonna break the
I want to make
glass.
it last because, well, we were talking about what if maybe have a little bit too much fat in our diet. We should have some more protein. We tried the shakes too. We haven't told them about the shakes.
Oh, Equip is the brand. It is beef isolate instead of whey. It's whey protein. It's beef protein powder,
Mhm.
and I got it because I've been sometimes struggling with the desire to eat, but I need more protein. And it's 20 grams per 100 calories. They have unflavored. They have unflavored without stevia, and then they have also different flavors. We got strawberry. It's actually very good.
It's really good. I liked it.
I hate to say, if I think if you put like a tablespoon or two of heavy cream with ice, it would taste like a strawberry shake.
Yeah. We gotta
I
try
have
that.
not tried that.
For me, like I want to start having more of that because I'm working out regular now.
Yes. Which I think I'm better with my protein.
Mhm.
All right, September greater than 10, then had CRP, and it was 4.2, so definitely coming down, but still working on bringing it down. Yeah, 4.2 is for a regular CRP is pretty dang good. It'd be interesting to see if you had your high sensitivity CRP done again to see what it is. But let's see, January 2024, I would wait a good 6 months before you do that, especially if you're having to pay out of pocket for it.
Did you see what
Oink Pork Rinds offers cook yourself pork rinds. Ooh, did I see what?
the bacon, that beef
Beef
bacon?
bacon is belly just like pork.
No, no, no. I saw on
Right
the
here, we found beef bacon at Wild Pastures
Wild
online.
Pastures. Okay.
I wonder. This is something I wish Scott would get interested in, is learning about the
Meat
different
curing.
no, learning about different cuts of meat and things like that. Because where does the beef, like fat belly, where does it get cut up into regular cuts? Like where does it go to? Okay, that's
I think I'd rather learn how to cure cheese.
let's see. I'm trying to take vitamin P. Dr. Berry says yes. And again, Ingrid, too, if you feel like you've been pretty consistent, track your foods. Spend a good month, and I'm not saying do this forever because then it becomes obsessive. Spend a good month tracking what you're eating. Okay. One thing Dr. Berry and I differ on is he said eat until you're full. But if I eat until I'm full, I have overeaten. I used to binge. I don't know what like the stop point is. I didn't know what that was. So full for me was a lot of food. Now I eat until I'm no longer hungry, and that has made a world of difference. I'm actually super excited for the next 4 weeks to really see. I've been weighing myself every day just as a experiment. When I told myself it was up for an experiment, I stopped stressing over it to see how things go.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
See if the consistency just is
yeah,
resulting consistent, like
because
half pound, whatever a day.
correct. So it's more about, okay, am I being consistent in following what I said I'm going to follow? And it has helped so much. Granted, it's only day 5, but we'll see over the next month. What are your thoughts on black coffee and the decaf stuff? We have coffee every day.
Not black. She has heavy cream. I used to be really much into sweet creamers, but I just gave that up because of all the sugar.
Do
And,
black coffee if you'd like.
and I do butter.
Scott does
There's other people that do salt and
baking soda or
baking
powder.
soda or powder
Someone correct me because I don't remember exactly which one it is.
to cut down on the acidity, but yeah.
The salt didn't help for me. And I do a tablespoon of heavy cream. Scott does half a tablespoon of butter, you think?
Yeah.
So do decaf if you want to avoid the caffeine. I like the caffeine, and I do 2 cups a day.
And also, just be warned, according to my father's generation, it will put hair in your chest.
Joanne, welcome. I have a question. Is bacon considered processed food? Is it bad? Anything, honestly, you could argue ground beef is processed because it has to be processed into ground beef. I think more when I consider processed food is, does it have a lot of chemicals, preservatives, and things like that? Bacon technically is on the verge of being processed because they use sodium nitrate to cure it. Even if y'all, like, this is such a marketing scheme. I strongly suggest not buying uncured bacon. Why? They use celery salt. Celery salt still has sodium nitrate in it, still has nitrates in it. The problem with celery salt is it's not a very specified controlled. So when you eat uncured bacon, most of the time you are actually getting more nitrates than cured bacon. Scott and I have actually cured our own bacon. It is down to the hundredth of
Thousandths of a gram.
a thousandth of a gram when you are weighing out the sodium nitrate to cure it. Celery salt doesn't have it. It's just different depending on the batch. So you can get more, you can get too little. Uncured bacon is literally the biggest marketing scam ever. You are still getting nitrates. Anywho, sorry to harp on
Anyways,
that.
bacon's good for you to have. The big thing you have to watch out is how much sugar is in it because the sugar is generally used as a counteractive to how much nitrates they have in it.
Well, no. Sugar is
And
usually
either
added for flavor.
or flavor,
They
but
do add a smidge of sugar to keep it
like
from over drying
black forest bacon,
sugar.
it just has more sugar in it.
But
So
that's for flavor.
but if you get bacon that is has a decent enough cut and if it's good fat in it, it'll be flavorful. There's other bacon where the cut is like very lean and it doesn't taste as good. So
That
that's where we have to watch out for.
that
But
that is
bacon's great. Bacon and eggs is a great meal.
that is our opinion. Anywho, bacon is fine. Just try to find bacon without a lot of chemicals, MSG, a lot of extra flavorings. The better off you are. Sorry, late. Wonder what your view of waiting on coffee till after you eat. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference unless you are somebody that's taken thyroid and you need to wait 30 minutes to an hour once you've taken your thyroid medication, but that's food and coffee, drink stuff other than.
Generally, our coffee is used as a bridge drink in the morning.
Mhm.
So we don't eat till
10 or 11. Yeah. So I have 2 cups of coffee in the morning. We wake up around 6 and I don't eat till 10 or 11. And it keeps me moving forward. So it's gonna be preference, personally.
Yeah.
I would watch video of making tallow into skim cream. Yes. We're going to try to eliminate dairy when we run out of cream and cheese this next week. Curious if it would kick a stall. Yeah, go for it. I tried it, didn't make a big difference for me. But also, I don't eat a ton. This one eats a lot more than I do. Jay, I read if you render tallow in water, it removes beef scent. Yes, so you use a crock pot. I've been using a Dutch oven, but use a crock pot, use water and salt. So the salt binds. The reason tallow, like our tallow, has a beefy smell because it still has, even though I rendered it with a cheesecloth, it has microscopic little pieces still in there. And by doing it when the crock pot with water and salt, it pulls the impurities out and it makes it whiter and whiter as you do it. I like what you do rather than comfortably stuffed. Yeah, because comfortably stuffed is too much for me. And that's why I think I understand what Dr. Berry's saying, buy it, but from a binge eating perspective, that's not a I don't think a good way to put it, but I understand what he's trying to say, buy it. I weigh myself every day to see what's working, what's not. That way I don't get upset after a week trying the results that aren't expected. If I normally don't suggest weighing every day, but it's going to be a psychological thing. Is it impacting you? When I talked to Scott, because he was very hesitant about me weighing each day, when I said, you know what, I'm going to really view this as an experiment of following the 500 or 1500 to 1800 calories a day, keeping my carbs obviously as low as possible, because even eggs have a carb in two of them, working out, walking, and just seeing how things go as an experiment.
So one of the things that I'm hesitant about doing that is that if you physically overdo it and you're trying to lose weight, well, what happens is your body's going to retain some water to deal with the physical stress. So then you're like, I'm not losing weight. And you want to change everything, which is kind of what she's done. She's like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Like, listen, it's been 2 days. It's okay. You gained 2 pounds because you walked 6 miles. It's okay.
Yes. And two, being very conscientious of what I'm eating. I'm not obsessing about it, and I'm not feeling deprived. It's more just like oh, that ounce of cheese was almost 200 calories. That's a lot of out of my day of what I can eat. I
Right.
probably shouldn't eat much of that. This one will eat most of it. Joanne, thank you for the info. I am not using butter, instead rendered pork lard on my own. It's okay to use this every time instead of butter. Yeah, no. Fat is fat is fat. Lard, tallow, it's just lard is from pork, tallow's from beef, butter's from milk.
I'll let you hang there, just watch. I'm like, okay,
It's
go
like,
for it. It's
where
also from cows. It's
anywho, yeah, you do not have to worry about that. I like using lard for pork stuff, tallow for beef stuff. That I find it enhances the flavor versus mixing it, but you do you. I do think sometimes bacon grease is delicious on a beef something or other, depending on my spices, and that's a big thing. Um, Marianne, just learning and new. What's your view on priming? Depends on what you mean by priming. My view of priming tends to be eating a butt ton and then doing heavy workouts. Sometimes priming means people will like carb heavy and then go lean. What kind of priming are you talking about? Spoil yourself one day, duck fat is gold. I've had duck a few times in my life and it was delicious. I bet it's expensive though, duck fat, because duck itself is pretty dang expensive.
That's what I need to be as a hobby. Duck hunter.
You could probably train Olive. I mean, she's a coonhound, but
She would love that.
ducks and raccoons are probably ish the same, yeah.
Yeah. She might be too many years beyond training. You got to do training early for a good bird dog.
We can make her a good dog, maybe. Pamela, new glasses. Yes, I did get new glasses. I actually got two pairs. I got my old ones I lost, and then I wanted a different pair that I can just bebop around in the house. I wanted something I like these because they're clear at the bottom. My blue-green glasses, they're pretty, but the frames are much thicker, and so they actually impede my view, and I don't like them as much. There are differences in fatty acid profiles of different fats. but the information's often in the weeds for people. Yes. And that's why I don't think it matters. If we're talking about like micronutrients and min-maxing where you're trying to squeeze every ounce of lemon juice out of a lemon, then you can get in the weeds. But for most people, I think it's just too much. Empirically, they're slightly different, but overall, they're the same. Like, I wouldn't even worry about it.
Compared to a Wendy's burger, totally, different universe.
Any tips on electrolytes? The element is so expensive. You can do Redmond's offers their salt. I would just salt the crud out of things. And honestly, I take a multivitamin. So if you're taking something that has the extra magnesium in it, you good.
Yeah.
I personally use Element just because you guys hear me say this all the time. I sweat so much. I have from the time I was a kid, even when I was skinny, I sweat a lot. And we work out and we hike and we walk. And so I just love drinking it. Eating a lot when you first start carnivore till your system gets used to eating only meat. Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's actually what I suggest in the beginning. Don't even worry about how much you're eating. Just eat so you're not tempted to veer off and eat carbs and things like that. That is the best way to do it. Once you get 2 to 3 weeks in, then I would start kind of evaluating, are you eating because you want to feel full? Are you eating because it's normally the amount you would eat? There's a lot that goes into it.
Right. Well, it's after you've been on there for a few weeks, then you can start worrying mental hunger and
Versus,
physical hunger.
yeah,
Right.
mental hunger is just emotional something
Because
habits are driving you versus a physical hunger is your body needs it. And about 2 to 3 weeks, the physiological hunger should be almost gone. So then you can start addressing it.
yeah, Western civilization has got a real habit about putting something in our mouths, whether it be Starbucks or cake or something. That's what goes on.
Okay, sorry. Scott is gonna go hang out with some friends, so we have to watch the time. I'll answer these last few. I ended up with too much pork, beef, fat from cooking. Wonder if others throw excess out of freezer. We put ours in mason jars, freeze it. It's good for years and years and years in the freezer.
Yep. Long, long
If you
time.
have too much beef fat, you can turn it into like whipped tallow to make face lotion. I don't know that pork fat would be great.
And it's always good, like if you like have meats that are much leaner but they're more affordable, then you can save that for later and add a little bit of flavor to it.
Yes. You can add up the fat of things like tri-tip tend to be leaner and cuts like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last one. Sarah, comfortably stuffed is too much for me. Yes. Joanne, thank you for much. I have my teeth in. I'm sorry. I forgot to take them out. Thank you. Found your channel. Hard to get that support in Southeast Asia. I can imagine.
I can imagine.
Even other places. Okay. James, I have no gallbladder. Is that an issue? The only thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to up your fat intake slower. The gallbladder stores extra bile salts. You no longer have that. Your body will adapt to it. Over time, you might experience a little more indigestion in the beginning. And the other thing I suggest is trying to not have a lot of fat one day and less the other. Your body will get used to timing and when it needs to release salts. So if you eat about the same amount of fat at specific times in the day, like within an hour or so, you'll be a-okay. But if you eat a lot of fat one day, you're going to find indigestion just because your body doesn't have somewhere to store that. Okay, y'all, we have to go. We will be back next Sunday. I hope you guys have
Thank
a
you all
beautiful
very
week.
much. We really appreciate all the support with Ria. We really appreciate all the
Yes.
comments. Thank you very much.
Yes. Emily, okay, last one. I was carnivore 3 months, fell off a year ago, and now can't seem to get back on track. Any suggestions? Emily, go snag the book Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. It is life-changing book. All right, y'all, have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.